A psalm reading. Today is August 16th. Our psalm is Psalm 78, a maskil of Asaph. Give ear, my people, to my teaching. Turn your ear to what I say. I will expound a theme. Hold forth on the lesson of the past. Things we have heard and known that our fathers have told us, we will not withhold them from our children, telling the coming generation the praises of the Lord and his might, and the wonders he performed. He established a decree in Jacob, ordained a teaching in Israel, charging our fathers to make them known to their children, that a future generation might know, children yet to be born, and in turn tell their children, that they might put their confidence in God, and not forget God's great deeds, but observe his commandments, and not be like their fathers, a wayward and defiant generation, a generation whose heart was inconstant, whose spirit was not true to God. Like the Ephraimites, bowmen, who played false in the day of battle, they did not keep God's covenant. They refused to follow his instruction. They forgot his deeds and the wonders that he showed them. He performed marvels in the sight of their fathers in the land of Egypt, the plain of Zoan. He split the sea and took them through it. He made the waters stand like a wall. He led them with a cloud by day, and throughout the night by the light of fire. He split rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as if from the great deep. He brought forth streams from a rock and made them flow down like a river. But they went on sinning against him, defying the Most High in the parched lands. To test God was in their mind. When they demanded food for themselves, they spoke against God, saying, "Can God spread a feast in the wilderness?" True, he struck the rock and water flowed. Streams gushed forth, but can he provide bread? Can he supply his people with meat? The Lord heard and he raged. Fire broke out against Jacob. Anger flared up at Israel because they did not put their trust in God, did not rely on his deliverance. So he commanded the skies above. He opened the doors of heaven and rained manna upon them for food, giving them heavenly grain. Each man ate a hero's meal. He sent them provisions in plenty. He set the east wind moving in heaven and drove the south wind by his might. He rained meat on them like dust, winged birds like sands of the sea, making them come down inside his camp, around his dwelling place. They ate till they were sated. He gave them what they craved. They had not yet wearied of what they craved. The food was still in their mouths when God's anger flared up at them. He slew their sturdiest, struck down the youth of Israel. Nonetheless, they went on sinning and had no faith in his wonders. He made their days end in futility, their years in sudden death. When he struck them, they turned to him and sought God once again. They remembered that God was their rock, God Most High, their Redeemer. Yet they deceived him with their speech, lied to him with their words. Their hearts were inconstant toward him. They were untrue to his covenant. But he, being merciful, forgave iniquity and would not destroy. He restrained his wrath time and again, and did not give full vent to his fury. For he remembered that they were but flesh, a passing breath that does not return. How often did they defy him in the wilderness? Did they grieve him in the wasteland? Again and again they tested God, vexed the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember his strength or the day he redeemed them from the foe, how he displayed his signs in Egypt, his wonders in the plains of Zoan. He turned the rivers into blood. He made their waters undrinkable. He inflicted upon them swarms of insects to devour them, frogs to destroy them. He gave their crops over to grubs, their produce to locusts. He killed their vines with hail, their sycamores with frost. He gave their beasts over to hail, their cattle to lightning bolts. He inflicted his burning anger upon them, wrath, indignation, trouble, a band of deadly messengers. He cleared a path for his anger. He did not stop short of slaying them, but gave them over to pestilence. He struck every firstborn in Egypt, the first fruits of their vigor in the tents of Ham. He sent his people moving like sheep, drove them like a flock in the wilderness. He led them in safety. They were unafraid. As for their enemies, the sea covered them. He brought them to his holy realm, the mountain his right hand had acquired. He expelled nations before them, settled the tribes of Israel in their tents, allotting them their portion by the line. Yet they defiantly tested God Most High and did not observe his decrees. They fell away, disloyal like their fathers. They played false like a treacherous bow. They vexed him with their high places. They incensed him with their idols. God heard it and was enraged. He utterly rejected Israel. He forsook the tabernacle of Shiloh, the tent he had set among men. He led his might to go into captivity, his glory into the hands of the foe. He gave his people over to the sword. He was enraged at his very own. Fire consumed their young men, and their maidens remained unwed. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows could not weep. The Lord awoke as from sleep, like a warrior shaking off wine. He beat back his foes, dealing them lasting disgrace. He rejected the clan of Joseph. He did not choose the tribe of Ephraim. He did choose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. He built his sanctuary like the heavens, like the earth that he established forever. He chose David, his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds. He brought him from minding the nursing ewes to tending his people Jacob, Israel, his very own. He tended them with blameless heart, with skillful hand he led them.